Janki Tech Talk. So localization has been a key to many EVs being a cost-sensitive industry in India. So COVID has been the biggest challenge of most markets throughout the world, and there's a lot of urge in bringing localization in India as well to enable it to shine one day. So today with us we have Mr. Ashish Kumar, the founder and CEO of Charge My Gadi. Charge My Gadi is one of the leading EV charging solutions provider in India, which works as an e-mobility and charge point operator. It aims at realization the electric mobility sector by offering a wide range of innovative solutions. It strives to provide e-mobility solutions to help the stakeholders to set up customized EV charging stations and cater to the needs of charging as a service, energy as a service, software as a service, battery swapping solutions in the best possible ways, and so on. So we welcome you, sir, on behalf of Team Janaki and all the participants. We look forward for the session today.
Thank you, Varshini, for the introduction, and thank you for inviting me for joining this session. And thank you, Shekhar, and the entire Gangi team. I feel privileged here to be here with you guys all to join the session and understand the need, the scenario, what we are trying to achieve, where we are in terms of market scenario, what market demands, how we are helping by providing a customized local indigenous solutions to the various stakeholder into the EV, starting from charger manufacturing to the charging solutions to energy operators to charge point operator, and providing the customized charging solutions, because we all know into EV most of the things have not been standardized till now. They're still in the process of standardization. That's why the need is customized, or individuals, OEMs have individual needs in terms of chargers or charging solutions. Maybe it also varies with reference to the, varies with the various chemistries of the batteries, powertrain, and then also localization, things which are happening. Most of the OEM now inclining towards localizing the EV in terms of components level, in terms of supply level, developing the local solutions, either battery, powertrain, motor controller, charger, charging station, so and so forth. And then government also has a lot of strong push towards adopting the EV from the most of the movements we are observing on a two-wheeler, three-wheeler segment, followed by four-wheeler segments. And we are also sensing a strong demand of these kind of solutions which is available. B2B, one of the biggest market as on date, where we see a strong demand, followed by also we see a lot of penetration is going towards B2C customers, where the individuals, people are like opting EV as a need, the solutions, and then there is a lot of benefit over the environment, over the running cost, maintenance, and so forth. So that's why the people who understand the importance of EV, they're opting very quickly. So that's all about the brief about the market scenario situations and what is happening. For us, we are actually one of the pioneer charging solution company, where we are mostly developed indigenous solutions to providing, designing, developing, and manufacturing the chargers locally based on the various OEMs need. They are battery OEMs, they are the vehicle OEM, followed by the charging stations. We are also stepping into the being in charge point operator, and also assisting to the various company to be an energy operator. So there are various business propositions and models are there. We are quite focused towards at this point of time towards providing solutions towards two-wheeler and three-wheeler, which is all related to the chargers and the charging solutions. That is a quite focused. We also developing other product lines like onboard chargers, or maybe a charger with IP67 kind of a rating, where there is also a sensor demand of these kind of high-end products. They are equally good for export purpose also. So we are also developing onboard chargers, which we develop the prototype starting from 600 watt, 900 watt, 1200 watt, 1500 watt, 3.3 kilowatt is under development, which will be ready by end of December. So this is what we are hoping, and we are launching soon our onboard charger series to the market immediately after Diwali. So this is all about and pipeline and the projections. We are like serving a few good OEMs into the market. Those are vehicle OEM as well as the battery OEMs. Most of the business comes to us through the battery OEMs, those who are packaging our charger and supplying battery charger as a combined package to the vehicle OEMs. So the way it works, we have both the customer, two-wheeler and three-wheeler. I see a strong demand at both the segments for two-wheeler and three-wheeler, mostly on the operating side. The company who are into e-mobility operator or those who are managing the fleet or operating the business, there is strong demand on a B2B side, starting from food delivery peoples to the medicine delivery peoples, to the loading and unloading segment, where we see a strong need and demand of these kind of chargers and charging solution, building the charging infrastructure. So I mean, there is also an opportunity and equal challenges. So like I'm happy to be here, and like I like to speak on the opportunity side as well as the challenges, and how we as a company are trying to mitigate those challenges and trying to encourage the opportunity which are readily available into the market. So now I open the sessions to all the audiences. A lot of the audience and guests are there. So welcome all of you, and you might have your individual courageous question towards this market scenario, situations, and what is happening. There are a lot of business opportunities are also there. Their new business model are also under development, and there are a lot of value propositions are in discussion. So I'm having like serving this market quite to 3.5 years by now. So we are understand the need, importance, and the requirements, and we can also help people to understand more about their own aspirations to get into the EV. There are a lot of new companies are joining every day. New startups are coming every day. Moreover, this industry is quite enormous industry. So for me, it's an equal opportunity for any individual or company to come and join this revolution. And this is one of the biggest industry which we are experiencing. It's also influenced by the automobile people, battery OEMs, battery manufacturing company, charger manufacturing company, the various operators which are also part of this ecosystem, energy producing company or discom kind of a companies. Government is also one of the stakeholders. So there is various stakeholders to this industry altogether, and everybody has to come join together to make this transitions from ICE to EV, and be the part of the complete revolution which already started. So now I'm open the session. Thank you, Shekhar, for inviting me. It's a pleasure to be here with you all guys.
Yeah, so Ashish, now, I have a few questions. See, when it comes to this whole EV ecosystem, there is a lot talked about, saying charging infrastructure is an issue, there is a gap, charging does not have a proper solution yet. But for the large portion of the market, which is the two-wheeler and three-wheeler, the charging is a very simple exercise, right? Can you shed some light on how the two-wheelers and three-wheelers are being charged today?
Okay, most of the OEMs, those who are manufacturing two-wheeler and three-wheeler, are using off-board charger. When I say off-board charger, I mean to say the charger is not part of a vehicle. It is almost equally, you can understand, from the laptop charger or maybe mobile charger. So it is a off-board charger, which is separate from the vehicle. When we use charger, when the vehicle is stationary, as a standard basic understanding, right? When the charger is in motion, we don't charge it, right? So it's a discharge. The time we use the vehicle, it's a two-wheeler or three-wheeler, it's a discharge. But when it's stationary, then we charge it. So that is the basic. Now, when it comes to a challenge side, what actually challenge those who are an operator for two-wheeler, three-wheeler, or maybe individual customer? Four-wheeler dynamics are entirely different. So let's talk about first two-wheeler and three-wheeler. I personally don't see a charging as an issue in a specifically two-wheeler and three-wheeler segment. When it comes to a consumer segment or maybe individual users. When it comes to a B2B case where there is a fleet operator, those who are managing a fleet of 200, 500, or maybe thousands of fleet, they might have a challenge of a charging, because charging infra is required. Charging infrastructure is all about managing the energy. It is not all about power electronics. Design development of a charger is a power electronics. When it comes to a charging, it's all about energy management. If you understand the energy, its management, you can easily manage the charging infrastructure and set up the stations and equipments. There are a lot of companies are already into this kind of a business. Those who are helping peoples or individuals or maybe OEMs or B2B to set up the charging infrastructure. and because they understand the energy management. We are also one of the people who help people and help them to understand the energy management, its need, and how to mitigate the risk, because our grid is something which is not very stable, and it's also very very place to place. So infrastructure, when it comes to infrastructure, it's a quite wide subject, but still, if you see the key parameters, one is supply or maybe tap point where you are tapping the electricity. That's one. Then how you are distributing and managing it based on your own need, the kind of infrastructure you've been set up, it's AC charging stations or DC charging stations, and what kind of fleet you are managing or what kind of infra you are developing. So it's a quite like subjective things to be discussed, but in a layman language, I can say if you understand the energy management, you can manage it easily. That's not a very challenge. The second biggest point which has been into a part of discussion about the range anxiety. This is one of the concerns for the many of the people, is that really a range anxiety into the vehicle of a two-wheeler, three-wheeler. I actually don't perceive the thought there is a range anxiety in two-wheeler, three-wheeler segment, because if you see a good quality vehicle, I won't like any name, I will not like any OEM's name, but there are OEMs, those who are claiming and providing a vehicle who can run 100 kilometer or close to 100 kilometer in a single charge. When I say in a single charge you can run a vehicle close to 100 kilometer, I think that solves by default range anxiety. If you again segregate the two-wheeler and three-wheeler segment, the average running of a three-wheeler is close to 80 kilometers, 78, 80 kilometer, right? Which has been tried and testified and validated by the various government agency and the individual agency and the private agency. So if I take an average running kilometer of a three-wheeler is close to 80 kilometer, and when it comes to a two-wheeler segment, it's again there is further segregation. One is operators, those who are food delivery people or medicine delivery people, or those who are working on a logistics side. Other the consumer segment. Consumer segment is like if you look at the average running of a per kilometer, you see 2/3 of the consumer are falling down under 15 kilometer, average 15 kilometer. I repeat it again. It is not more than 15 kilometer averagely per day. That means close to 500 kilometer per month. That is the most of the consumer segment falls in. Now you tell me, if your vehicle is giving a mileage of 100 kilometer in a single charge and your average range is close to 15 kilometer, do you have range anxiety? So answer is no, straightforward. So I don't see any range anxiety in a two-wheeler, three-wheeler segment. It's a myth which has been, I don't know how it comes to the people's mind, has been floated to the market. Four-wheeler dynamics are entirely different. So now there is a vehicle of the good OEMs, those who are claiming 300 or 350 kilometer or maybe 400 kilometer of a range on a single charge. And it also, I think, solves the up to an extent the range anxiety problem. Intercity can be a problem in few cases where there is not enough amount of a charging infrastructure has been established on the highways, which government is doing their part. There are a lot of private companies are also coming up very quickly and setting up the charging infrastructure on the highways and the major highways for sure. To start with, government is also pushing it a lot to set up the charging infrastructure. Government got their own guidelines to build up a public charging infrastructure across the nation. So, things won't happen overnight, that's for sure. Everybody is doing their own part of work. And when it comes to a four-wheeler segment also, if you have a mileage of 400 kilometer in a single charge, I seriously don't see its range anxiety. The company called like Ola Uber kind of a company, they also have average running of a 200 kilometer in a day, right? So if you charge your vehicle once in a day, overnight charging kind of a situation, and you have a 300 and 400 kilometer of a mileage, do you have really range anxiety in intracity? I don't think there's a problem. In a case of intercity, yes, there is a situation where, with reference to the specific case, I'm not saying it's a range anxiety is not there in case of a four-wheeler. If you're traveling 1,000 kilometers from one to another point, yeah, there would be you might not need a charging station and the charge point where you can charge your vehicle on the way to reach to your destination. And which is like coming up very quickly and fast. Major highways are already covered or under development, where you see in like 6 months to a year time, you have a major charging stations has been set up in the major highways across the nation, on the national highways, etc. So I think it's more kind of a myth for me than a reality, range anxiety. A two-wheeler segment is covers 80% of the market on automobile side, which is phenomenally high. And the government also do expect there is a fast transition is going on of a conversion from IC to EV for a two-wheeler and three-wheeler, and everybody is expecting to at this 60-70% on higher side. Maybe if I become more optimistic, it will be close to 80% in the next 5 years. So you realistically say that 20 million vehicle of sold every year. I'm talking about two-wheeler only. 20 million means 2 crore vehicles, right? If I see a 5-year projections, it would be a 10 crore vehicle from starting today, next 5 years. If I take an average, conversion rate of a 20% each year, so 20% of 2 crore is almost 40 lakh vehicles, right? It would be converting every year from IC to EV. And next 5 years, see, there would be close to 3 crore vehicle would be on the road, which are already converted from IC to EV. So it's a huge business and market opportunity for any individual, starting from a charger manufacturing company to the charging solution provider to EV manufacturer to battery manufacturer or maybe powertrain. So I think we are getting into the big business volume where there is an ample amount of opportunity for anybody to come and join the this revolution and join this industry. And we are the people who always advocate and help people to come and join and help them to understand what is essential, what is don'ts and do's and don'ts, because do's and don'ts are not available on the Google. You have to learn on the ground when you start working. So we are where we always advocate and talk about do's and don'ts, and it's not about right or wrong. It's all about how do you want to get into the things. And everybody, there are various business models. I can speak on the business model also. There's no problem. But the one business model cannot suit to everybody, right? So everybody has to find their own niche. End of the day, when you want to be the part of the whole revolution and the part of the industry, because everybody has their own strengths and limitations.
So Ashish, when you talk about the business models, I want to discuss on two particular terms, which is largely, I would say, not well understood by the industry, or everyone has their own definition. So I would want to understand what is, in your mind, the definition for Atmanirbharta. What is that definition?
Okay. Shekhar, Atmanirbhar is kind of a self-sustainable. As on date, I have to be honest here also, in terms of understanding, are we an Atmanirbhar? Are we self-dependent? Answer is no. Can we be Nirbhar? Can be a self-dependent? Answer is yes. So where we are lacking, I think we are only lacking in vision will. Rest we have a financial power, we have a brain power, we have a manpower, we have a adequate amount of infrastructure resources as in country. So what is the shortage? Only wish and will. We are very competent people in the world in terms of the kind of strength we have as an individual, as a country, the kind of intellect we have, the kind of infrastructure or the overall GDP or manpower we have. We can be Atmanirbhar. There is no doubt about that. Where we are lacking is a wish and will. So sometimes it comes to the individual level. Sometimes comes to even a company level or government level or the various level. The only lacking in a wish and will, and the people who are wishing and willing are become self-dependent and they are also helping them to make India an Atmanirbhar Bharat. So, sir, for me, it's only wish and will, nothing else. We are very competent people. We can serve the world, not for India. We can make vehicles, EV for the world also. And we have that kind of a capability. We can have that kind of people, that kind of technologies are available, that kind of intellects are available who can develop the indigenous technology. It's only vision builds and nothing else. From my, that's what I perceive actually altogether.
Now, what qualifies as a Atmanirbhar company? Let's talk about a company. A company doing sales in India, doing operations in India, making products, assembling in India. When do we say that this is a Indian company, or this is, what in your mind would be a definition for that? And also, thinking of the charging as well. Today, obviously, this market either has the Chinese players on one side, or it has the European technology and American technology on the other side. So what do we call as an Indian company and Indian technology?
Okay, Shekhar, I think it's a quite subjective topic to be speak on because individual have individual thoughts and mindset to come out a percentage of a number. Then it's we become an Atmanirbhar or we become Atmanirbhar Bharat. For me, government is giving a lot of subsidy on the various channels through FAME2 and the state government subsidy of the various state government also. When they say if your EB or your it's a 51%, I think, if I'm not mistaken, is indigenous, more than 50%. If you're manufacturing an EB, which is more than 50% or 51%, it is we consider it is a indigenous product, and where you are entitled to get a subsidy on the certain product lines as per the government policy and so forth. That is one part. Other part, if I say in my personal understanding and capacity, what is we become Atmanirbhar, at least 2/3 of the things has to be developed, designed, manufactured indigenously. I see then we can say we become Atmanirbhar, or we become a self-dependent, because we are still dependent on outside world, like you said, or maybe European technology or American technology, or maybe product lines which are coming at a cheaper cost or lower cost from the China, even on a component level also. If let's look at the semiconductor, I don't know if we have a semiconductor manufacturing facility in India. So it's still we are dependent on the outside world to get those components to manufacture the chargers and the charging stations and providing a charging solutions. I see a bigger market which is coming all the way. We are also look at EV is one market. You look at the consumer electronics, another market. Electronics is already there into the India, right? Everybody is using fridge, cooler, TV, phone, AC, so many of electronics in every house, right? And we are such a huge country of 1.4 billion people. That means don't we use electronics? Yeah, we do use electronics. But I only see sometimes, I personally feel why like I joined the industry like 3.5 years back, but prior to that also there was electronics, and the people are using electronics as a consumer electronics level also. Why it has, I don't know what is a lack. I don't have an answer at this point of time, but I personally see there is a strong need of a manufacturing of a semiconductor in India. What does it cost? How government will take it in? These are all questions to be answered for me also. I don't know the answers, but still I see the moment we reduce our dependency on the outside world, then up to a 2/3 level, we are like maybe out of 10 we are going for 3 things outside the world or dependent, then I can say we will be an Atmanirbhar, and we will become Atmanirbhar Bharat. And I think we are transiting towards that also. It's my personal understanding that we are transiting towards becoming Atmanirbhar Bharat. There is a government initiative, push and pull. People's vision will also there. There are new people are also joining the industry and understanding the challenges and the problems in the industry, what it takes to become an Atmanirbhar Bharat, or what it takes to become a self-dependent company or self-dependent, to be the government initiative also of Atmanirbhar Bharat. So the few things still to be answered for me, but I think we are progressing ahead. It will take time for sure. It's not something which is going to happen. I'm speaking now and tomorrow we will become Atmanirbhar. It won't happen for sure. It will take time. I think I wish more people understand the need of this market and join these revolutions. There are a lot of industry stakeholders are there. People like me are also there. Thousands of people are there into the market. Those who are wishing to become an Atmanirbhar Bharat and helping people and companies to become a self-dependent or not dependent much on the outside world, for that maybe on a component level or maybe on a product level and so on and so forth. So I think the baseline is same. We are heading towards becoming Atmanirbhar Bharat.
So Ashish, you talked about the different business models that can be there. And one element that we are now hearing actively is this swappable battery. So in terms of swappability, do you think is that the right solution for India? And what are the evolving trends with regards to swappable battery?
Okay, sir. Swappable battery, I see a strong need of swapping solutions in a B2B case. There is no doubt about that. And the reason for that, I can tell you the reason why do we need a battery swapping solution in a B2B case. When it comes to a B2C case, I don't see much of a need or importance of setting up a battery swapping solutions. I can tell you the reason and logic also behind that. That's again, it's our learning. When it comes to a B2B, you have let's take an example. Any fleet operator is running a fleet of 500 vehicles, and his average running per vehicle is close to 100 kilometers because he's delivering the food or medicines and into a delivery business. Then and maybe the running time will be let's take in 12 hours in a day. So either we must have that kind of a vehicle who can provide that kind of a mileage, and there is no range anxiety, who can run 100 kilometer or more than that in a single charge, when the operator don't have to bother about to quickly swap the battery, and it has overnight charging facility. That's one. Since still the charging time is 3 to 4 hours in standard. I'm talking about thumb rules. People are also charging in their battery in a fast mode in 1 hour and 2 hour also, but standard is 3 to 4 hours in a lithium-ion case, LFP and MC case. When I look at the consumer, actually, consumer is a different ballgame actually altogether. I also become a consumer at one point of time when I'm using also owning a two-wheeler EV and running it. Do I go to a public charging station or maybe public swapping station where I would like to wish to swap my battery? I don't think, because let's understand the dynamics also here. A standard low-speed vehicle has a 1.5 to 2 kilowatt battery, and the standard battery packs in a good quality bike or scooter is close to 3 kilowatt. 3 kilowatt means if I am paying a 6 rupee per unit as electricity cost to charge my EVs, close to 18 rupee or 20 rupee, right? On a single charge. And a single charge, I'm enjoying a mileage of 60 to 80 kilometer in current scenario. So my cost per kilometer is substantially very low, right? That's one case. The second case of a consumer, when consumer let's take a charging cost or maybe swap cost is close to for a 3 kilowatt battery is close to 50 rupee, right? When my purpose is being solved in 20 rupee, why should I pay 50 rupee? That's consumer mindset. I'm not saying right or wrong, right? It's consumer mindset, right? Why should I pay 50 rupee for a swap? Well, I'm going to charge my own EV at my own home at a rupee 20, right? That's one. B2B is different. And B2B also, there is a two category. One is two-wheeler category, other is three-wheeler category. There are a lot of company, those who are opting for a swapping solution. I've seen much transactions on a three-wheeler side rather than a two-wheeler side. Because two-wheeler side, there are good OEMs, those who are manufacturing EV doesn't have a range anxiety at actual. 2 years back, you were a different scenario. Now it's a different. In a year, the scenario will change again. So personally, I don't see much of happening or validation of swapping stations in a consumer segment. That's my personal understanding. Yes, B2B, it will be there for sure, because energy swapping is almost an business of energy operator. You become actually energy operator. You are, selling the, energy, like in a cylinder. In the case of a cylinder, right? We take the filled cylinder, pay the money, and give it back the empty cylinder. The same things is going to happen for sure. I'm not saying it will not happen. It will happen because there are a lot of transition will take place over next 5 years or maybe 7 years when the EV is going to evolve from a very nascent stage to a good level. Sir, again, for me, it's a two business case. When are you going to use a swapping solution or not? B2B, yes. Answer is yes. B2C, I don't see much of transition on a swapping solution side. So that's from my side.
Okay. So Ashish, when you talk about the energy game, you're saying that this is more of an energy management type of element that is going to be required. What role would the OEM play? Or would the OEM become today what we call as a vehicle OEM? Would they become someone in the background? And because they obviously don't have the right skill set as such to do this energy management role. So are OEMs becoming immaterial? Is the brand becoming just no longer having that same attraction that it used to have in the past?
The answer is yes. If you take a case of ICE brands, you see top 10 brands owns 90% of business. Let's talk about two-wheeler only. There are a lot of people who can advocate on this. Yeah, it is going to happen the same in case of EV. I don't believe that philosophy. One, there are two reasons. One, the new people are coming, new companies are coming. That's one. Technologically, advantage. Not all the company has it, because a lot of import is happening, is coming in India. People are just doing assembly part and selling the EV, right? So technologically, advantage is not available in India at this point of time, and it is not also been indigenously developed to a level where there are indigenous manufacturer or manufacturing the volume in numbers where it can cater the indigenous requirement. Your question is again somewhat related to the Atmanirbhar Bharat kind of a question. For me, the EV has a two segment, actually three. Two-wheeler is one segment. It will work in a different way. three-wheeler will be happening in a different way, and four-wheeler again will be different, happening different way. Let's talk about two-wheeler first. Here in a two-wheeler, I told you there are 20 million two-wheelers sold annually, close to 2 CR. And there are top 10 companies in IC who owns 90% of the business. So what about 10%? In EV, I personally see it won't be 10 companies. It would be at least 50 companies, which would be a tier one companies, which would be maybe managing up 50% of a business. Then there will be a tier two companies, close to 150 companies in coming time in next 3 to 5 years or 7 years. Those who are having another 8% business, and there will be an tier three company into the market also. Those who are having maybe only a 2% company, but the numbers will be 200 company like that. So I don't see any brand is going to cater the whole market or going to attract the audience. I'm not convinced with this philosophy and thought. I mean, any big name or any big OEM, I don't want to take out any name, but I don't think anybody is going to control the whole ecosystem, or they have a capability to control the whole ecosystem as the one of the tier one company, sir. So I mean, I have a reservation on the fact that the top 10 company will own the entire EV, or maybe in terms of brand name or the market reach out, or maybe developing the ecosystem, because a lot of things has to be changed for sure, because I've seen the market in the last 3 years, and a lot of things have been changing in the last 3 years, and it's changing every day. So if you closely monitor the trends and observations, even the big OEMs also not having everything to be owned or develop ecosystem. They're also dependent on so many other companies, maybe a charging infrastructure company, maybe energy operator, maybe your discoms who are providing the electricity, or maybe a charge point operator, those who have reach out to the major audience. So the ball game will be evolved between three kind of people. Let me tell you that also. It would be, one would be a technological based company, those who are designing, developing technology or own the technology. That's one. Second, I think stakeholder, the major stakeholder would be the company who will develop an ecosystem. And the third would be a discom for sure, because you cannot, discoms that it won't be a major stakeholder. They will be a major stakeholder into the whole business. Now it comes to any OEMs or maybe automobile company. I doubt they will be a game changer, or maybe maybe automobile company can be a big company who can be a who control or develop the ecosystem where people follow, like a case of a Tesla, right? It's automobile company, and then develop the ecosystem where the people are following in a US or maybe Canada. Here it's I think it's in a long run, I see it would be a company for sure, but it won't be top 10 company. It will be at least top 50 company. Those will be managing on handling or supplying or owning the ecosystem. The number will be decreasing. Yeah, top 10 company will be there for sure. They won't lose the market because they are still a stakeholder of the whole business. Being this as in still, a lot of people also feel like this is an automobile. I doubt this is an automobile. This is not an automobile. EV is not an automobile, sir. It is not to be controlled or owned or maybe taken care completely by the automobile companies. Sir, I have a reservation here.
A lot of the Indian tier one companies which are supplying parts to these big OEMs today, okay, they have started making some components in the EV side as well. However, they are still not talking and supplying to the newer faces, to the startups. They are still trying to get the bigger players. So according to you, from your analysis, I think they are making a huge mistake in terms of.
No, sir. They're not making mistakes. That's a wrong statement for me. They are either developing technology, which is a need of now or future, or they be associating or maybe taking over or investing into a startup company, those who are a technologically development company, or those who have been developed the technology or developing the technology. Third, when it comes to the major tier one component supplier, they will be owning the major share. What we are discussing in last question, it would be a 10. I won't think it should 10. It would be 50. If the OEMs are become 50 from 10, same likewise, the component become also, if there are 500 components company, those who are supplying to the tier one companies as a component, it would be a 500, sir. It won't be a 50. It would be more. You understand my point? in the proportion will change, and
the pyramid will have the same proportion.
I think you got it correctly.
Thanks. Mr. Ravindra Mohan, you can ask your question.
Good morning, sir. Mr. Ashish.
Yeah, morning, sir. Morning, sir.
Insight into it. I have a couple of questions with you.
Please,
One
sir.
is there has been talk of some BIS has released some IS standard and all, some low voltage charge, low cost electric wheel charges for two-wheelers, maybe three-wheelers. You have any insight to it? Who are the manufacturers and what is the status of it? Other than the government publications and Niti Aayog's, I understand it is supposed to cost around 3,500. Do you have any insight can be thrown, because that will satisfy the people on this about their, and where can they supposed to be charging station set up by pan shops and kirana shops? Anything on that, sir? Who is manufacturing
Ravindra,
and what
I
is
think,
being
okay, I'm coming to that. I think you got a lot of insight about what is happening inside of the government level. And it's good to hear that you are the part of an ecosystem who understand and know what is happening at the government level. Okay, actually, I think what I've been perceived from your question is more about kind of an EVSE, that we call it electric vehicle supply equipment, which is advocated by the government. Regulations were under development to be low cost charging infrastructure. While what I've been got information, let me share my part with you. I think you can have your answer. The government is developing a low cost charging infrastructure for EVSE, which is called BLE, low energy Bluetooth device of a 3.3 kilowatt, which would be a kind of a charge point. Then also, if you see the policy of government of 2018 of a charging infrastructure, they talk about a OCPP server, and OCPP has to be there on a charging stations, it AC charging stations or DC charging stations. Your question is very specific to a low-cost charging infrastructure. I think government is doing a lot to form guidelines to develop a low-cost charging infrastructure. For my understanding, the market share would be 80-20. 80% charging would be AC charging and 20% would be a DC charging. Your question is very specific. When you say 3,500 rupee, I got it where you're coming from. It is AC charging you're talking about. It would be because I've also had a news last year and this year also that government's also coming with some kind of a tender for the 10 million or more than that, in a first phase, and then the more tender will come to develop the low cost charging infrastructure on AC side. Sir, my information till the time I am been updated, I personally feel that it has not came yet into a public domain where people can say, yes, government has been finalized the charging infrastructure guidelines. It's still under approval stage, or maybe I don't know at what state government level, but it is not been published by the government or not came into the public forum. Yeah, there is a lot of discussions happened last year also. I also got some lots of update last October also that it has been coming. When it is coming, how it will be coming, how aggressive the government will be to implement this low-cost charging infrastructure. I think all these questions has to be answered. I'm also waiting for the government to answer all those questions. I think everybody will come to know by default then when it comes to in public forum that what government is wish and will towards implementing the low-cost charging infrastructure. On a cost side, yes, there is a news also. It is similar news I have of 3,500 rupee, and somebody told me that the government has been worked out the cost of this low cost EVSE is 3,500 rupee, and this 3,500 rupee I think came from the Delhi government policy which has been published last year on 7th August 2020. They said they will be give incentive to the company, those who will put these kind of a low cost EVSE, and they will get 3,500 rupee like for implementing these kind of things. I think that also has not been formalized. As per my understanding, that government will only sell these EVSE at 3,500 rupee. Yes, there are a lot of discussions going internally, and the news is coming out as a leakage. So it's a leakage. You have the leakage information. I also have a similar leakage information. So I only sir ask you to please wait a little more time. Have patience like we have. Let government come with a final form policy of charging infrastructure both for AC and DC. And also let them share their own plan of implementing of a low-cost charging infrastructure. So if you have any specific question, you can ask me, please.
Ashish, but 3 weeks back, BIS has released the standard for this charger.
Sir, I think I got standards last year only, sir. It's leakage, sir.
It's released, not draft.
Yeah,
It
released.
can
Okay.
purchase
Maybe I've
this
not been
standard
updated.
from
Sorry,
BIS.
yeah, sorry for this. I've not been updated because I've been traveling here and there, so I've not got the information. So if you
there is
have a
maybe
copy of
when-
those
when
documents,
the
please share with
standard
us,
release,
Shekhar.
some manufacturer may be making it. Just wanted to know if anybody is already, since standard is released, is any manufacturer taken up manufacturing? That's all.
Sir,
If you have information,
sir,
good.
I know,
Otherwise, leave it
sir,
here.
I know, sir, I know we are the one. We are doing it. We are already get it ready. We are only waiting for the government to put the stamp on the paper, on the regulation, on the on the specification, so that we could land up into the manufacturing ASAP. So we are the.
Then we are your customers.
Sir, we are the one. We are the one company. I know about one company which charge my Gadi. We are on a same pipeline.
We are your
I know.
customers, because to match this, we'll have to create a cloud platform, na?
Sir, it is there, sir. Sir, cloud is different.
Anyway,
sir,
we can talk about it offline.
Yeah,
I'll connect both of you. I'll connect both of you.
Yeah,
so that
yeah, please.
you can take it up.
The server is different.
We
BL is different,
bore
sir.
everybody else with our talk. Which will
No, it's okay, sir. It's okay. We'll talk it separately, sir.
More business-like than actually knowledge-based.
Yeah,
Second question to Mr. Ashish is, why do you think for e-rickshaw, which is actually a B2C segment, battery swapping is not applicable there? It is not a B2B segment, na, e-rickshaw. Why? What is your? Why you say it's only battery swapping is only B2B, not B2C, where e-rickshaw is a very strong contractor for the contender for the battery swapping?
I think, sir, I think you misinterpret my interpretation. I was talking in perspective to the operator, not in perspective to the individual owner of a rickshaw who are running their fleet. So there is a, I think, mismatch between your understanding and my saying. I think what you are trying to convey, I got it correctly. So this is just a misinterpretation of my statement, nothing else.
So Ravindra sir, actually, even though B2C is an individual rider, at the end B2 e-rickshaw actually is not an individual, but actually is a fleet. If you really look at the dynamics, you will see that it is not the individual owning the e-rickshaw. The e-rickshaw is being given to that individual to operate on a daily basis at a certain price. And there is an aggregator on top of the those individuals. And those aggregators are nothing but unrefined fleets in a way.
Shekhar, okay, we may have different opinions on that. Let's leave it here.
Yeah.
NCR region, there are a lot of. Only thing is, I don't know why this market is not expanding to other parts, other cities. But NCR, there are enough.
Sir, Ravindra sir, there is a very simple understanding to that. Wherever there were no cycle rickshaws, there the e-rickshaws has no market. It will never have market. It will never prosper in those markets where there was no concept of cycle rickshaw previously. The L5
can we debate on this, or Shekhar, can we debate on this?
I can, because I've done a lot of study on this. The L5 is a very different story. L5 will take over the market, but the L3 e-rickshaw or L3 and lower quality of rickshaws, they are only going to be successful where there was a previous concept of cycle rickshaw. That is what my study says till now, and I've not seen an exception yet. If there is one, please do let me know.
See, it is. See, a lot of our cities, we have point-to-point running, means
Sir,
the
even
10 rupees savari, 20 rupees savari.
Even
where anyway speed is not more than 25 kilometers.
No, doesn't matter. But I don't want to sit in a vehicle which will only run at 20 kilometers. Doesn't matter whether
anyway,
finally
in Amritsar and all that.
Yeah.
Anyway, it is there, na. You take Amritsar, Mathura, you take some of these tourist spots.
So those niche markets.
Niche markets. Anyway, yeah.
Okay.
And
Mr.
Ashish,
Kannan?
anything on the lithium manufacturing, cell manufacturing, any idea you have? Anybody is taking up? A lot of
Yes,
talk
sir.
are happening, but
No,
anything?
sir. Sir, I cannot name any company, but there are 3 to 4 companies who are getting into this, or a few have been already started. You will see more name into the market in the next 6 months, sir. So if you really want a exact name, sir, not on this session, we can take it separately.
Well, if Shikhar is going to connect us, then we can talk.
Yeah.
Yeah. Mr. Kannan? Kannan Iyer? Would you like to share your point?
No, that's what I was saying is certain IITs have been requisitioned to develop, and design 3.3 kilowatt and 6.6 kilowatt EV charging stations purely on renewables. So,
Sir, can you elaborate your point? When you say 3.3 and 6.6 purely on renewables, what does that mean, sir?
no, it will work only on solar and wind. Yeah, solar and wind.
Okay, it has been integrated with the solar and wind. Is that what you mean?
Yeah.
Understand, sir. Understand. So good, sir. It's a good, like indigenous technology has been developed. It's a
The IITs have
benefit all
already
of us.
been, selected to do this job. So they should be
Which
completing
IIT
their designs. IIT
is-
BHU, Guwahati, and Bhubaneswar.
Is it IIT Bombay or Guwahati?
No, it is IIT BHU, Guwahati, and Bhubaneswar.
Okay.
So good to hear, sir. Good to hear.
That's a fair point to know. And Ravindra sir, again, we have very good connects at IIT Guwahati. If you ever want to get connected, do let me know.
Yeah.
Okay, any other questions for Ashish? Anyone having any unique questions, trying to understand the charging ecosystem?
Hello, sir.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
For three-wheeler, fast charging, whether it is coming or whether it is available.
Sir, the charging is slow or fast. It's always with reference to the rate of charging. Because it's a when normally what I've been perceived in a market, when you charge your vehicle 100% in 1 hour, people normally call it a fast charging. Standard charging time is 3 to 4 hours, so that's why people call it maybe slow charging. Okay, that is what I've been perceived from the market. It's not any thumb rule or maybe any formula for that. How do you define slow charging or fast charging? That's one. If you talk about really fast charging, that means by default you are understanding that there is no need of a battery swapping stations, because if you're really able to charge your battery in 1 hour, you actually don't need a swapping stations. So now again there is a contradiction in understanding that who will work, either a swapping station or a fast charging. So sir, my understanding says both will stay, both will work, because use cases are different. So you really need to understand it is not something only fast charging will be working, or maybe swapping station will be working. Both will be existing. Both have their own kind of benefits, merits and demerits, and both of it have its own kind of use cases. So please understand, this is not something about what will exist, what will not. It is all about the use cases and the individual needs of maybe company or maybe operator or maybe individual people. So for me, both has to exist. And please, sir, also understand. I don't know. If Google talk about some definition of a fast charging, I really want to learn more on the meaning of fast charging. It's only the perception have been perceived from the market that people say if I able to charge my vehicle 100% in 1 hour, it's called fast charging. If we are on same definition, I think I've been given answer to your query.
Thank you.
Okay, any other questions? Okay, Ravindra sir, any question?
No, I think I have done it enough for today.
Okay. Dr. Venu Madhav, I think you joined a bit late, but any questions, sir, from your side? Okay. So Ashish, I think we are good.
sir,
on
thank
this
you.
front. Yeah. So I think we are good on this front. So thanks for your valuable time for this morning, and I hope that your second vaccination shot yesterday was all fine, and now you are, getting ready to move across after 14 days and start back on travels and so on and so forth as well. And a lot is happening in this industry, and you have been a very active part of the ecosystem. So thanks for all the support also. There is one last question from Vishal, which is talking about ultra capacitors and solutions, including ultra capacitors, which may help fast charging. So do you think any of that sort of things will come into the ecosystem?
Yeah, it will come. I think the few companies who are developing these kind of a super capacitor or ultra capacitor kind of a fast charging solutions, I see it will take time, but it will be there for sure. I see right time would be 2025. That's my personal understanding, where the big technological company will come up with the right solutions, where wireless charging or ultra fast charging kind of a situation. I think technically it's exists and it's possible, but I think it's will take time.
Okay, thank you. Thanks, Ashish. Thank you, everyone, for joining in today. Ashish, any parting words?
Yeah, I mean, I'm happy to be here, and thank you. I'm having a privilege to be here, and thanks again, Shekhar, to inviting me for the session, and to be exposed myself to the various audience which are coming from the different domains, or maybe different kind of business models, because I mean. What I've been learned, I've been share honestly, because it's not about right or wrong. What I've been sharing with my own perception and thoughts. This ecosystem is a quite large, enormous. I have a very strong feel that one company or one individual cannot control all of it, cannot be taken care of all the requirements and so on and so forth. So I think everybody has to come together to join these revolutions and make this happen, and make environment clean and green, and take benefit all of it. Yeah, there's a lot to be done for sure. There's no doubt about it. On a technological development side, on a product development side, on a need of the future also. So I think everybody has a lot of work to do for sure. There's no doubt about that. And we all have to be there, the part of the entire ecosystems, to make it grow and help each other to the faster adoption of EV into the entire nation. Actually, I'm quite optimistic. Like government has their own kind of projections, but I may have been quite optimistic. I see a faster adoption than anticipation actually. So that's from my side, and thank you all of you. I think to taking your time to be here and hear me out. And thank you all of you. I think Shekhar, thank you one more time to you for inviting me for this session.
Thank you. Thanks, Ashish. So Ashish, I have given you the connects of Ravindra Mohan, so you can connect with him.
Okay, I just need to give me a second. I mean, just make a note of the number that will help me.
Yeah, I've sent it to you on WhatsApp.
Oh, fair enough. That's really helpful. Yeah, thanks
everyone.
Thank you all of you, and wish you all of you good day. Yeah, thank you all of you.
Thank you.
Thank you all of you.